right? These two should look identical. And then we have no tap state on this. We want to put the tap state on this state right here, which right now is this invisible, opacity of 0 thing sitting on top. We'll see if that works. It might not let us use something that's perfectly transparent because it might not see it as an object systematically. We'll play with that. But in theory, I should be able to be on this artboard. I should be able to. Oh, it's got an auto on it still. Delete that. But it should have a tap animation now. So I come back to here. I should be able to tap. Yes. So it's not part of the. I keep wanting to call it the DOM. It's not actually a DOM. It's not part of the document. The programmatic model here. So there's a couple layers here that are transparent. This one, this one. This one's opaque. I think it's going to let me do it with the opaque one. Find out. So, there. And that's just a quirk of how Principal is built. Tools like this, I should say. I need a single principal out here. So again, I got to view menu. I can mash on that. Come on now. I got rid of the wrong one. I got to get rid of this tab, not the other tab there. So come here. Boom, 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 boom. And we got that black to white animation. Oh, I know what's happening. This is bouncing from this one to this one, which we don't want to have. So we're going to have this one, this close button, be on tap, taking back to this. That should look better. There. You see how it's fading out? I don't want that fade out to happen. It's doing that fade out because this thing is perfectly, this overlay rectangle shape is perfectly transparent, and the animation, it animates during the duration. We want to make that instantaneously appear or disappear. So we do that by selecting this guy. We say opacity. Oops, I got them all selected. This. Alright, so boom, and then, oh, hang on, I got the wrong one. There we go. A menu around a rectangle. That's the only one. That animation. So come back to here. Right, so it fades out. It should not fade in. It should be immediately boom. And then it should still fade out because I haven't done the reverse yet. So I do the reverse animation here. Menu around a rectangle. Make it immediate. So it should. Boom. And then it should see it. Ooh, that's weird. What's the difference here? Oh, maybe I should lock. Maybe freeze it? I'm still not sure how frozen works exactly. Oh, see, and it freezes it in this final state. Not what I want. How do you get it? So what's the state we have it in now? So if I go back to here, for example. Here. The menu just disappears when I do that. That's not what I want. I wanted to see it recede. Well, maybe, I think this is all I need to do. I need to move the animation such that when the other things are done animating, immediately it pops, the opacity pops. I think that'll do it. Then it slides back. Boom. That's what we want. Simple. All right. So yeah, just move the transition from being the start of the animation to be the end of the animation. So everything else animates, and then it goes pop. That's what I want. Good. All right. Now we're cooking with evil gas. What else we got? So once this thing animates up, we want to have a header as well. Need some more wires soon. List header none selected. I think that's what we're calling it. Hang on, how do we do this, guys? So 360 width is 371. We want to be 375. We want to do the full width. And we want to center that bad boy. We're going to need to center it because it's going to be. This is always an annoying thing. I don't know why it does that from time to time. You have to deselect and reselect. think all it's going to do is simply x 0, but we're going to verify that. I just want to use the same method for centering all the elements here. That way we don't run into any glitches. Snap it to the top and do the same thing. Boom. So that guy's there. Again, this won't appear till the very end. So this guy, or this animation here, oh, it doesn't even have an animation. Do I have to put it on a previous step? How does this work? So I can close, goes away. Yeah, it appears there. We don't want that. So I have to put it on the previous step, I believe. But invisible. So I copy this layer, put it over here in the same spot, and then I make the opacity nothing. 0. 0 as in 0. Okay, so view menu. Right, so we want that to appear, obviously, after the thing is animated up into place. Right, and just to take a look at this animation here, kind of frame by frame it. Oh, frame it, bigger, 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 bigger. This is the edge. Alright, so there's a horizontal and vertical growth. It gets to the edge horizontally, and then it keeps growing vertically. So it does that, just to the top here, and once it's near the top, I didn't finesse this as much as I probably would otherwise, but you see there's a little artifact here where like the blue overlay is not perfectly aligned with this. I think that was just a limitation of building this in principle. I could be wrong about that, but I fought with it for a bit on how to animate this content in. The other thing I might do is use it as a mask. So as it animates larger, that content, the rectangle serves as a mask, so there can be no overlap like this. But we're talking about a prototype here. We're talking about trying to communicate an idea. So given that the finished effect is compelling, that's what matters, ultimately. So yeah, animates up. So we're just going to have this thing fade in right toward the end of the animation, right? So that it stops at the end, but it's a lot shorter of a transition, right? So the whole thing goes up, and then right at the end it fades in. Right, so this is list header here. So effectively, if the whole animation is doing this, we just move this thing to be, I don't know, 0.5. I'm making that number up and see how it looks. Right, so that faded in right at the last second. You might want to do a little bit more of a fade than that. 0.5 seconds to make it 0.10 seconds. We're ignoring the closed state for now, but yeah, that seems a lot closer. Right, it fades in right there at the very end. Okay, and then for it to reverse on a close tab, we're going to have it header opacity. I'm going to have it disappear immediately. Close. Right. Bingo, and then close. Not bad. Okay. Now we're going to put. Actually, I'm going to save that. Okay, we're save. I want the footer in here. Be able to fade in out and close button. This guy here. List blue item disabled. So it's we're going to say horizontal. Don't know why it does that. Put this here at the bottom. Looks like it's off by 0.5 pixels there. See, I don't know if you can see this too well. There's a little gap right there. That really bothers me. What do we got? I'm going to smudge it by 0.5. There. So that seems to have gone away. Seems to be okay. We do have a slight, anti-aliasing rounding error there, but I'm not so worried about that. I can see that better. I'm not so worried about that for the sake of this prototype. Because ultimately, what the user is going to see, or the person watching the video is going to see, is a big, bold animation where the page they were just on slides out, and this new interface that they've never seen before is going to pop up in front of them. So that's going to be much more visually arresting than an anti-aliasing error on the bottom edge. Okay, so we got this content here. So list blue button disabled. We have to do the same trick we did here where we have a copy of it on this one that's transparent. So I'm going to copy this, bring it back here, paste it into place, make it transparent. Passing nothing. Okay, so now on the forward animation, we're going to say for the, where is it? What's this one called? List blue button disabled. Right, so we're going to make the animation here the same as the header. So the animation time is the same. The same thing for the close. We're going to make the list blue button disable. We're going to make it instant, just like the header. Just like the header. Okay, so now I hit close, they should both disappear. Open them up, they should both fade in at the very end. Boom. Would you look at that? Worried that that blue might seem a little flashy. In the current state, it might appear to snap too much. We're going to play with that once we get some content in here, because the content might draw some of the heat away from that. So we will see. Overall, I think this is starting to look pretty good. Do this all day. To rewind it, I want to go over with you. Alright, okay. I'd like to place an order. What's your thing? Kinda cool. Kinda cool. If I hadn't done this, these individual prototypes both separately before, this is where I bring it up on my phone and I go through that whole process of making sure things are feeling right. I'm pretty comfortable with how things are now. I'm just, again, trying to reproduce some of the functionality that I did in this previous version. So, let's see, select menu items, then selected. Okay, so now we want to bring in some of that sweet, sweet list content. Let's see. Can't remember what I named any of these things. Just list B. Do I have that as a separate element? Oh no, I didn't export it yet. So it's on the what do you call it? With the symbols page. It's two different windows, make it easier. Here. So on my symbols page, I have all my symbols. And this scroll list is the one I want. So I'm just gonna. Oh, I had this in a subfolder. I hope I needed it. So I deleted it. Okay, I'm gonna drag it out of here. No, I'm gonna make it 2x first. Then I'm gonna drag it out there. Boom, dropped into place. Okay. Wow, that was anticlimactic. So either still exporting it or there was an export error. So we'll do that again. Come on, just export from me, buddy. You got this. I believe in you. Okay, I'm just going to match this button. Make it a little easier, hopefully. And there she is. That's what we need. Okay. So this will be the scrolling list content, and we're going to mask it out with the shape. So we are going to use the mask anyway. We might just use the mask to mask some of those buttons out. But the button footer and the header as well. We shall see. Come back to here, drag and drop. This will be massive, which is just what we need right now. Like that. Line, horizontal centers. There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to mask this by this other shape, this this menu-rendered rectangle. So to do that, I'm just going to drop it inside. So now I'm going to select the layer itself and say clip sublayers right here, and that's my mask. Furthermore, it's not aligned to the top yet, so we'll select this bad boy and scooch down. Like that. It doesn't let me see the edge, so I have to zoom in and do it by do it visually here. I think this is a 2-pixel shadow, so I'm going to put it like that. Okay. So we still don't have perfect masking there because, oh, we do. So it's showing up right here, it's just showing up wrong there. So I'm seeing the corners of it stick out there. Okay. Another thing we're going to do is make this vertically scrollable. Now, if we do this right now, you're only going to see the content move inside this container, right? Still pretty cool. We have the scrolling inside there. We don't have a sticky header. We don't have this list, this menu getting larger as we push up, right? Because again, if you look at the previous prototype, when the menu opens here, as you push up, the menu itself grows until you get to the top edge, and then it sticks. You see that flash there. It's kind of a little mini reveal as to what exactly is happening there. It actually swaps out that top element, superimposes a new shape on top, and then it lets you continue to scroll that content underneath. Honestly, I forget all the details of how I built this, so it might be a little bit more guess and check at this point. But yeah, the other thing we need to do, in addition to making this a sticky header, is we need to make the salad sticky header as well, which I'm not looking forward to. I think it'll be very similar in technique to this header though. So, and actually, while I'm here, let me just take a look at how I did some of these things. So, how did I do this? So drivers, header with content, right? Got this business up here. So once it hits the top edge, that's when, okay, so I have this sticky header here where it's, what am I trying to say? It's an immediate transition. So it goes from being invisible to being visible like immediately once the driver hits the top edge there. So obviously we're doing the same thing. And so we're going to do this with 2 elements then. We're going to do it with this header and then with the salad subheader. And then what else? What else? How does this thing scroll? Scroll window. So I have a group here called scroll window. White header with content, scroll content. Right. So I have this content and this box down below grouped together as a single element. So when I'm scrolling, I have a big scroll container, the height of the screen, and it's able to scroll inside of that. See the height of the screen? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just not clipped. Let's double check that. Hang on. Scroll window does clip, and it's this tall, right? So it goes to the very top, and then it clips here at the bottom. So I'll go back to 0. Right. So this container is very large, and then the content inside sits down below here, and then it clips the sublayers. So there you go. And then the container here, yeah, the container sits just above this button here. That way we don't have to deal with the messiness of it falling behind there. Okay. Hey, it's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me. So I think I'm going to reverse it, because I had this menu being masked by this. It looks like that's not what we want to do ultimately. So I'm going to undo a dozen things here. There. So we have the separate elements again. I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to put it on a layer beneath the header here, and then group the 2 together in that tall layer, and then mask it, right? Clip the sublayers. So let's see. Here, right now we got this little gap happening because we're not underneath the shadow like we want to be. That's better. Looks good to be on the side here. Nothing should scroll right now. Take you, and then group you. How did that work before? How did I get the shape of this group to be so tall? Can I just define the size of it? Yeah. Didn't know if I needed like an invisible rectangle or something. Take you 2 and I group you. And then Oh, there's the bottom of it. So I can bring this guy up. Yes. Okay. So you can just resize the group shape itself. Right, and snap that to the bottom there, and then snap this guy to the top edge. X is -1. That's not what we want. X -1. Okay. So now I can say clip sublayers once I select that guy again. Okay. List header, menu, yada yada yada. Clip sublayers. So it's flipping down there, and I can say scrolling vertical. Scroll, right? So now it's not going to be the same because this guy was going to slip above the top edge until I set up that driver. So effectively, I also need to group. I can't remember if that's what I did before. I do that. Oh yeah, so I just control the driver and say, keep that put. Don't let it move. Right. So still a bit to do here. I make that header stay, and I'm going to make a another object, not just this sticky header, but this sticky header as well, so they both stick to the top when you get up there. That's kind of cool. You can close it up, get back up here. Oh, except deal with the fade. Because we have a new layer with new element. It's not on this page yet. We'll deal with that later. Here, so salad. So I'm going to make the new sub header. Drop you in place there. Again, this is part of the template more as a guide than anything to make sure I'm putting it in the right position. So it looks like it's off by 0.5. But that weird rounding thing again. I just say how annoying that is. Hey, there you go. Let's go between 100% opacity and 0% opacity. The only thing that you're noticing there is that this is on the wrong layer. So the shadow appears. But everything else, the word salad stays put, which is what we want. Right there. So now it's underneath the header on top of this list. So they all scroll together now. Okay. Beautiful. Making progress. Okay. So the next thing to do, I think, would be to set the drivers for this guy such that when it's being scrolled up, I think when it gets to the top, these guys will stop scrolling. Thank you very much. So get up to the top, yada, yada, yada. So this is the point we want. It hits the top, and then it stops moving. I can't remember what I did there. I think I had to replace these elements with different elements, but I can't remember the reason for that. I don't know why I didn't just have. Yeah, I can't remember why I didn't just have the Y position lock in place. Oh, so I see what's going on here. So when we have this big scrolling layer right here, hang on, do I see what's going on here? What did I do? I have it go so that it gets up here to the top, and then what happens? Opacity changes. Right, so this is on a different layer. Sticky header, which is its own group. Once this driver gets to a certain point, then the opacity on this guy changes. I don't think I can manipulate the contents of this group. I might be wrong about that. Right? I don't think I'm able to do something about this like list header. Select items. So that's the problem I've got here too. This name for this layer is just massive. So I'm going to call this full menu scroll group. Right, because the previous name was basically the same as the layer inside it, so it becomes very confusing. Right, so there we go. So full menu scroll group is the one I'm able to manipulate up here. That's not what I want to do. So I want to manipulate this guy inside it. Right, so maybe I can just do this. Say Y. So kind of return to start. We can just do this. It's a little bit rusty on drivers. I don't know how to set back to 0 with grace. Zoom in just a bit here because I'm only really dealing in this range here. I think I go negative a little bit. It makes it a little easier. I think if you hold down Shift, let's just snap. I mean, it's just placebo here. It's just a placebo here. Okay, so I'm going to have this do this. Right, so this scrolls with the rest of the group. No harm, no foul there. When it gets to the top, that's right. So that's what I need to do. So as the list continues to scroll, I need to, that's right. So I'm going to scroll this thing all the way to the bottom effectively, right? Keep it scrolling, keep it scrolling, keep it scrolling. So much for moving this, work inside that scroll area, all the way to the bottom here. Doesn't matter how far you scroll this thing. I'm going to set some extremes on this, right? I'm going to go all the way up to here. I'm going to say that the Y position for this Mamma Jamma is always going to, oh shit, not that one. The Y position for this is always going to be stuck to the top edge. So right now you can't see it. I'm holding down Shift and arrow key in order to scooch it down into view. This might be a fool's errand because we might be scrolled out of, let me undo all that. But I want it to be visible on the screen so I know I'm not, because I'm clipping the sublayer, I might be moving it way out of view and not have a chance to see it. So the easier way to do this would just be to delete this and move it back to like this point, right? Okay, so if I'm at this point, and I see this, right, so it's like this. Now I can move it down because my layer group's right here. I should be able to see it here. So it's coming down from above, in other words, if I'm not mistaken. Zoom out. There it is. There it is. So in theory, if I can set this thing to be stuck to the top edge there, just like it was before, it'll stay put after you get to that certain point, like magic. Oh, see, this is why I did the way I did before. Now I know, because as I come back up here, look what happens here in the black areas on the top corners. Right, we get this list from the scrolling list pops out behind the corners. That's annoying as hell. The problem here is that normally we could just set the clip so that it clips beneath the bottom edge of the header, but this header is actually a part of the clipping mask. So if we clipped it beneath it, we wouldn't see the header. So what I did before is what I need to do this time. I need to make a separate layer over the top that's opaque until you scroll to a certain point, wherein it superimposes over the top. And then we can set the clipping mask to sit further down. Something like this. Right. Just like this. Yada, 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 yada. And this guy goes back to the top. Right. Oh, it's doing a little easing. Great. Great. Alright, so knowing that, I'm actually going to revert to a previous version of this. Last save. Let's see if this is far enough back. It's here. Okay, I have a scrolling group. It's sitting all the way at the top. This is as far back as I need these. This is perfect. So let's see here. Knowing this is a good fallback point, I'm going to make a new copy here. That like that. I will not zoom to my artboard. Okay. So again, we have this group right here. What I want to do is create another one of these guys. It sits on top and outside of this group. I'm going to give it a different name. I'm going to say magic, header, not list header, menu header. All right, so magic menu header is the one that magically appears when it gets scrolled to a certain point. So bring it all the way up to the top. Actually, make sure that it's lined up well. That 0.5. Not fun, not fun. Yeah, okay. You guys can't see it at this resolution. There's that 0.5 rounding error again. You know, it's my favorite. So at the very top, stuck up to the top there. Good. We have this group here containing all these menu items. We're going to move this such that it clips underneath this header here. We're going to fight with snapping. There we go. So it should scroll up underneath that bad boy. And notice the corners no longer have that bleed through again. Oh, get that one pixel gap there. Look at that. Damn. Header. What we want? I think that's what we want. Like that. Look how beautiful she is. Ah. Okay, and so again, this will be invisible until we get to the top, and then it'll click into place. I'll be here at the top of the list. Oh, it's just lovely. Right, we have to do some things with the transition here still, because we added some new elements, give things new names. But generally, this is the right direction. Okay, so now we work with drivers again. This is the guy, so we want to make this we move this up to here. So I'm going to zoom in, that way I don't have to squint so much at it. When this guy gets scrolled to the identical position, then this layer will have a change to its opacity, where it will go from nothing to 100. So before, I should set it back at 0. Back at 0, it should have a 0% opacity. And then, up at that point, it should have 0% opacity as well, but then the very next step, it should have 100% opacity. Right, so we're going to slowly fade in the way it currently is, which is not what we want. We want it to be, I think I have to move it forward, because if you do it too close, it wants you to remove whatever you're currently on, even if you're like old pixel off. There we go. So we'll make this like this, and then scooch it back. Like that. So this can be at 100%, but this previous one is going to be at 0. That way it goes 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, gets to the top, 100. Now why? That's interesting. That's interesting. What's wrong there? Oh, because the clip's there. How did I solve that before? How did I solve it before? I can think of a couple ways, but we knew this one worked, so. Scroll window. Nothing happens to scroll window. Scroll window is the full height. Scroll window is the full height. There's your answer. So it just superimposes this menu over the full height window. Okay. So I should just be able to do this. And that should solve the problem. So it should be full height there. Ding, 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 ding. It's using the one that's in the menu currently. And when it gets to the top, it's just going to superimpose. Oh, so we do have that cropping problem again. What is that? Did I have that problem before? I don't remember having that problem at all. I wonder. Oh, maybe I cheated here. I did cheat. Look at this. Fill in the background that's black. So it's just hiding that. I just danced around the issue. All right. So there's a couple things. I mean, I can obviously cheat there. There's also, I think for the purposes of this, it's probably fine. There's also, I can set up a clipping mask such that it's the same radius as this guy. It's black in the corner. I'm not even worried about it. So let's do it that way. So shape, park it behind this header, and then make it behind the header. Actually, no, we're having this group the two. Make that work. Yeah, just drop them like this and then group them like that. Oh, right, because you can't see it because, right, obviously. Let me try without that. Let me try this other way. Yeah, it seems to be stacking in the right order. Okay, cool. So we make this corner black. And then again, when you scroll, that will appear on the top. Right now, it's solid black until that point. We're also going to change the opacity for the group that it's inside. Which is simple enough, because we have these points here already. So if I select this layer, it's called just layer, it's not good enough. Black, magic menu, mask. Opacity goes from 0 to 100 to here. Oh, it's again too close. This way here. Bring it back to 100. Look at that, seamless. Scrolls up, content appears, never notice a thing. And the content can sit behind it because that black is masking it out. And beauty. Right, so I can then actually give them this. I'm not sure I need one on 0 anymore. I'm going to get rid of that. This. Oh, I deleted the whole layer. That's my bad. I wanted to do X. Right, I wanted to do this, not delete. There we go. So ding to ding. There. That's what we want. Okay. It's your header. Stick to the top. Beautiful. We still don't have the sticky header here stuck. It should be a very similar technique. I should just group it with the same header. Beverages, again, I'm not going to deal with for the purposes of this. I'm just going to select my first item here. The sticky header will be here. I'll select an item. I'm going to scroll down further. Before this gets to the top, I'm just going to scroll like down to here. I'm going to add another one like that. That should solve the problem. Okay. Save that. Let us see. So we're going to add that sticky header there. Zoom back into this, we'll go back to 0. I don't know why there's not an easier way to do that. Now we are going to add... No, actually, I don't want to be down here anyway. It's going to be part of this disappearing, reappearing header thing. Back to here. Some water. Actually, I added that already, didn't I? I added salads here. I didn't add it to this guy. Is that a problem? No, I think it's fine, actually. It doesn't have to be part of this header. So I can just say Y position for this guy continues normally until that point. Right? So come back here to 0, and I say, the Y value should go from there to there, and then from that point on, everything will just snap back to that. So this forward as a scroll, effectively. This is how I do the sticky header. I'd max it there. This one, boom. And I'd say this layer is way up above. I'm just going to scooch it down. Okay, so make sure it locks there to the top edge, like it ought to. And then if I move it, you should see no drift. Oh, there's a slight little fade there, little bitty. Oh, so there's some drift. Okay, so how much is it drifting by? Is it a pixel or is it 2? Let's see. Yeah, that looks solid. It locks there. Okay, so come back to here, scroll it, salad should stay as a sticky header. Beverages, again, simple enough to make that sticky header, but for the purposes of this mock-up, for the purposes of this prototype, I'm not going to be demonstrating that. So that's like a V1.5 type thing, easy enough to mock up, but not hugely necessary to get the point across. More important though is making sure that this doesn't happen. Right, I want this header to stay put as you scroll down like that, right? To see the finished product again, the Julia Child. You know, it's already baked in the oven. The header sticks like that. So we got that, but we don't have the bottom edge. So we use drivers for that as well. Drivers are our best friend here. And just notice that we're doing all this work here on a single artboard. So while this previous animation was all from one artboard to the next, the next, and they're all, you know, you tap here, you auto-animate there, you fade this content and you fade that content out. This widget is one interactable widget, so it sits on one artboard.